How's it going, you guys? Damocles here, and I'm going to be doing my first patch notes review. The patch notes for the newest Pokemon Unite patch have just been released, and I'm going to go down the list of buffs and nerfs and just talk about them briefly. As always, you guys have been really great with the subscriptions. I really appreciate it. Channel's booming, and next goal is 20k subs. So at 20k, I'm going to do this giveaway for this $20 Nintendo gift card just to show you guys I appreciate you. So make sure you subscribe and comment. Let me know your thoughts and if you like this the format of this video. But without further ado, let's just hop into it. This is the first time I'm seeing any of this stuff, so you're going to see it right alongside me. And yeah, let's check it out. So planned date is 8/4. So that's in from this video, I'm filming this at 11:30 at night. So basically a day and a half or so. And let's see, bug fixes, text fixes, spectate feature, test release. That'll be real fun. Hopefully you can just spectate, some of your buddies' games. You can spectate my games if you want. And it looks like that will be getting tested on the 8/4 as well. Changes are being made to some Pokemon stats and adjustments are being made to balance. I've zoomed in a little bit, so I'm sorry if some stuff cut off. Okay, Charizard Flamethrower. Okay, cooldown reduced, effects on opposing Pokemon strengthened. I don't like the formatting. They need to give specific numbers. This stuff does not fly in MOBAs. You have to say what it is. Cooldown reduced by how many seconds? Like, don't make us go out and do this. It would be so easy for them to just put the actual numbers in. Effects on opposing Pokemon strengthened. Like, okay, what does that mean? Like the burn does more damage? I don't know. But regardless, it's a buff. It looks like because they're buffing Flamethrower and Fire Blast, reducing the cooldown and increasing the strength, that they really want to buff the more carry version of the Charizard moveset. And it looks like they're buffing Fire Punch too, so they're just bringing up everything in general. But right now, most people go Fire Punch into Flare Blitz, like I did in my Charizard video, and they're trying to bring Flamethrower and Fire Blast back to the fray. So we'll see how much damage that does. Charizard, he already does a lot of damage with his melee, so if they make this like really good, I could definitely see that happening. And Charizard really needs some love after the Muscle Band nerfs on him. Okay, Talonflame. Acrobatics, damage dealt to opposing Pokemon increased. Okay, that's his like initial move. And that's going to help his jungle clear significantly. It's going to help his laning significantly as well, depending on the actual damage numbers. We'll have to go test it out later on. Aerial Ace increase, Aerial Ace plus damage increase, Fly damage increase. Okay, so Fly, I'm a little bit like, that makes sense because nobody's taking Fly in comparison to Brave Bird. The normal route you go is either Brave Bird with Aerial Ace or Brave Bird with Flame Charge. You don't really go Fly unless you're doing like a cheesy build where you're just going for scores all the time. But having Aerial Ace get buffed is actually pretty significant because you have to remember the main damage combo with Brave Bird is Brave Bird into double Aerial Ace, because the Aerial Ace's cooldown basically gets reset if you use it after you do Brave Bird. So you do Brave Bird once, Aerial Ace twice. So if this damage increase is significant, that's a real massive buff to Talonflame's burst damage, so you might actually see him be used a lot more now. But again, it kind of depends on the actual individual damage numbers. I still don't see people picking Fly as much unless the damage really is rivaling Brave Bird, because Brave Bird's damage is just ridiculous. But we'll see. Venusaur. Sludge Bomb. Man, Venusaur needed some buff, so thank God, right? Damage dealt to opposing Pokemon increase, effects on opposing Pokemon strength. And so I really think this effects thing is just referring to the status effect. So like the poison damage. That's what I'm assuming at this point. Damage dealt is just a damage increase. That's good. Petal Dance move upgrade. Who the hell knows what this means? I don't know. Maybe they're just buffing it across the board. Maybe they're changing how Petal Dance works. I'm not sure, but regardless, Venusaur getting buffed all around. Solar Beam cooldown reduced, that makes sense. I said it in the tier list video. A Solar Beam is nice, but it's just like Venusaur, he just does something, and then like you just can't do anything afterwards. You just kind of feels, eh. So having the cooldown be reduced just at a base level is good. And then obviously at Solar Beam Plus, the cooldown is reduced even further. So this might really make him a poking menace. And then his Unite move is getting a buff, which is much needed because his Unite move is probably the worst one in the entire game. It literally, all it does is fire out a long range nuke that that does damage, but it doesn't do any damage, so it's just bad. So now this might give some real solid Venusaur potential. We'll have to see. So congrats to all you Venusaur mains, and shout out to everybody who said Venusaur didn't need a buff, because people like myself who said he needed a buff and that he's bad, that's what gets things changed, guys. All right, he needed help. Absol, basic attack, bug fixes. Who knows what that is? Night Slash, damage delta, opposing Pokemon increase. Sucker Punch, damage belt increase. Okay, no, people were not using these abilities. They were using, Pursuit and Psycho Cut, obviously, because, hey, thanks for the subscribe. Because Pursuit is just really nasty at snowballing early games. I mean, you just two-shot people, and then Psycho Cut just increases her basic attack damage significantly. Sucker Punch, I probably still won't use it after this. It's more of like a CC based skill, but Night Slash actually isn't like an awful skill. Like, it gives her increased crit damage, so depending on the actual damage buff that this patch is giving this might actually be what a lot of Absol people switch over to, because I was already experimenting with it and it's not that bad. It kind of removes that positional requirement that becomes a weakness for Absol in higher tiers of play. So we'll have to see, but I'll definitely be testing this one out. But no nerfs to Pursuit and stuff, so it looks like they're kind of happy where Absol is. Wiggly needs some buffs. Let's see. Following stats have been increased: defense, special defense, HP. Okay, that's good for Wiggly players. That's going to make her stronger in lane. Double slap, damage dealt, increase. Double slap already slapped, so that's going to be nice. Effects on opposing Pokemon strengthened. Sing, effects are strengthened. Wow, so just buffs across the board for Wiggly. That's awesome for Wigglytuff players, because honestly, she, in my eyes, is like the worst support in the entire game right now. Even though Sing is like really good, it's just, she's kind of like just a walking target. Very easy to play around that small AoE that is Sing. So this is huge for Wigglytuff players. You guys should be really psyched about this, and yeah, and it looks like beneath it, Eldegoss is getting some nerfs. So we'll see how Wiggly ends up turning out. But that's a big buff to her survivability, and both of her very commonly used skills. No changes to rollout though, so that's interesting. All right, Eldegoss, Cotton Guard, cooldown lengthened, HP restoration decreased. All right, so Cotton Guard, forgive me, I'm about 99% sure. Cotton Guard is the shielding mechanism. That is what most people run. It gives shields. It's just like a phenomenal ability. It makes Eldegoss incredibly powerful. I talked about it at length in the tier list video, so you can go check that out. But Eldegoss is just suffering from success. It's just so good at so many things, and it's just like the only pure support with like real team-wide like shielding and healing effectiveness. And until we get a larger roster, it's not surprising that they're tossing him a nerf, because I had him #1 on the tier list. So they increased the cooldown, so you can't have those shields up as often. It's probably going to make it a little bit less oppressive to deal with them in lane, which is a good thing for people who are running off-meta team compositions. Cotton Spore, they're trying to buff the other move in that selection, which is Cotton Spore, by reducing its cooldowns, increasing its effect on opposing Pokemon, and giving you further increased defense. So I thought maybe at a base level, Cotton Spore gave you defense, but I thought it was only at an upgrade level that it gave you defensives. But now it's going to massively increase your defense and special defense. So that's going to be an interesting choice that Eldegoss players have to make. My gut tells me Cotton Guard is still going to be the go-to, just because of that shielding, man. And then Unite move getting a nerf, because that HP restoration. I mean, you could like heal like your entire team to like you could give your entire team like a 50% heal. It was nuts in a team fight. So curious to see how that ends up. Curious. Okay, Cinderace, my boy. Oh boy. Falling stats have been decreased. Attack. Again, this is just hurting my soul, because it's like I don't know they're not telling me the actual numbers, but attack has been decreased. That's never a good sign. Blaze Kick, damage delta, opposing Pokemon decreased. Okay, that's, Blaze Kick is like, in my eyes, #1 move. Faint, move downgrade. I don't understand when they say move downgrade like this. Like, what are they even talking about? Like, maybe, are they, maybe, I almost want to say that they're making it so you get the move like later on in the match. Right now, his Cinderace's power spike is pretty nice. I believe, what is it, at 7? At 7, he gets Blaze Kick when he turns into Cinderace. At 8, he gets Feint, and then at 9, he gets Unite move. So maybe they're pushing his Feint. I don't know. I really don't know. Curious to see it in game once it goes live, but move downgrade. Weird. Or alternatively, they could be swapping the position of where Feint is. They can make you choose between Feint and something else, like Feint or Blaze Kick, instead of Feint and what is it, Flame Charge, something like that. I don't know. We'll have to see. Or it's just a way of them saying like it's a straight up nerf. Pyro Ball damage dealt to opposing Pokemon increased. Okay, so a lot of people were running Pyro Ball anyway, just because they like the range. Blaze Kick was definitely the better option, but now, you know, we'll have to see. Blaze Kick still gives a guaranteed crit. Kind of depends on how hard they hit his attack. But Feint, I'm really surprised they didn't buff Flame Charge to try and like counteract how good Feint is. Maybe they're just assuming that Flame Charge is good enough as it is, and that just nerfing Feint will make people switch over to it. I don't know, we'll have to see. But that one is definitely one I'm going to be testing, and it's going to be a hit to Cinderace, so maybe Greninja will rise up a little bit more in that regard. Gengar basic attacks, Shadow Ball, damage dealt to opposing Pokemon increased. Okay. Hex move downgrade, Dream Eater move upgrade. God, I can't stress enough how much I loathe this descriptor. I mean, like what are you even saying? Are they just, is that just a way of them saying that they've totally reworked the move? You know, like what if they just made it so like, oh, you just can't reset anymore, you know, or like it resets twice. Like, is that what they mean? It would be really nice if they actually wrote it. But what I said in the tier list was if they nerfed Hex and they nerfed Sludge Bomb, then they would have to buff the hell out of Shadow Ball and Dream Eater, because the other two options, Shadow Ball and Dream Eater, are just atrocious in comparison to Sludge Ball Hex. So Sludge Bomb Hex. So we'll have to see how much they actually buff Shadow Ball and how much they buff Dream Eater. Because it is a kind of interesting combo, being able to put people to sleep and deal damage to them and teleport to them with Dream Eater. But we will have to see. My gut is telling me that the Gengar nerf is probably decently severe, but I'm really just move downgrade. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below what you guys think that even means. So, all right, Zeraora, the Noob Destroyer, Spark, bug fixes. Okay, tells me nothing. Wild Charge, damage dealt to opposing Pokemon increase, cooldown reduce. So everybody goes Discharge, like I said in the tier list, because Discharge is just busted. It does a lot of damage, and an AoE doesn't require any aim, doesn't make you sit like a sitting duck like Wild Charge does. But in my original Zeraora video, I talked about how Wild Charge plus Volt Switch might be the go-to, because it looked like it was the superior damage option. So maybe now it actually might be. But my gut is telling me if they're not changing Discharge at all, that unless this is a massive damage buff, it's probably still going to be the same Volt Switch Discharge, most likely. Plasma Gale, damage dealt to a Pokemon, the opposing Pokemon decrease. So that's kind of needed. Plasma Gale, I think the actual upfront damage for what it was, just being a point and click, was pretty drastic. I mean, even for a Unite move, that thing would hit you like a lot of times for like 75% of your HP, plus it gives you a buff. Normally in like other MOBAs, like if you have like a ultimate ability that has multiple effects laid in it, like a buff, a steroid inside of it, that's an AoE, like you don't get that move to actually deal as much damage as another move would. You know what I mean? Like Pyro Ball, for example, only does damage. So if you have Pyro Ball that only does damage, doing less damage than Plasma Gale, which also provides a buff afterwards, it's just like it's just weird how that's balanced, right? So it's not surprising that this is getting a nerf, but he still gets that buff afterwards that massively increases his basic attack damage. All right, Cramorant. Whirlpool, damage dealt to opposing Pokemon decreased. So this was like, you know, really, really solid for Cramorant's early game. So that's going to hurt a little bit. It was just, I mean, anybody who's gotten accidentally, like, tried to fight a Cramorant early on and gotten stuck in the whirlpool, not a good time. It's like an automatic, like, losing trade, basically. Incredibly powerful. But does he need nerfs? I don't really think so. Maybe they just thought his laning in that regard was really oppressive. Dive, damage dealt to opposing Pokemon increased. Not many people take dive. I have experimented with it a little bit just because it, one of Cramorant's main weaknesses is his movement. But it just feels really bad. The range is pretty short. The damage isn't high. It's more of like a repositioning thing. So you can't reposition that far away. So maybe if they increase this significantly, you could start seeing more dives because, again, Cramorant's ultimate damage is significant. His Surf and Hurricane damage is significant. It's really his problem is that if he misses any of those, like, he just can't get out. You got to kill the other person, and unfortunately, dive is not that good right now. When I said he, darn it, like whatever Cramorant is, guys. I don't know genders. All right, Machamp, basic attack, bug fixes, cross chop, damage dealt to opposing Pokemon decrease. Cross chop is like the go-to right now. Submission and cross chop. Cross chop just does a boatload of damage. I believe it also increases his crit, or just like the hit increases his crit. So not surprising that they nerf this. I'm surprised that they nerf this and not submission though, because submission is really what makes Machamp incredibly powerful. But it looks like they want people to, they want close combat to be more of a choice. So they increase the damage of close combat. We'll have to test that out. I don't play Machamp too often, but he is a top tier pick, like really top of the heap. So not surprising there that they're trying to iron him out a little bit. But it's interesting to me that they would hit cross chop instead of submission. Maybe they're just comfortable with him being more CC oriented, and they're not comfortable with him being able to do CC and be able to solo out people with damage. Lucario, Power Punch, Bug Fix, Bone Rush, Bug Fix. No nerf there. Interesting. Greninja, Basic Attack, Bug Fix. Alolan Ninetales, Bug Fix. Wow. Okay. So that's the end of our patch notes, guys. What do you guys think? What are your thoughts? I'm really curious to hear from more people who play these characters. I see them at a higher ranking. I know at the lower tiers, more stuff flies. More stuff you get away with more stuff. But I'm really interested to try out Talonflame a little bit more. Put in more time with Charizard, Flamethrower, Fire Blast build. I'll definitely put that to the paces. Venusaur, I'm gonna try and make him work, guys. I like making the bad ones work. Night Slash with Absol, I'm really excited about. The Wigglytuff with the Eldegoss nerf should be interesting. Cinderace, not too excited for this. Not gonna lie to you. Gengar, I think a lot of people will be. I think they're gonna nerf Hex into the ground, if I'm being honest. But everything else kind of makes sense to me, honestly. What do you guys think? I think you might see Charizard become more of a powerhouse, if I'm being honest. So, again, thank you guys for watching. I hope in the future they make the patch notes a little bit better. I would like to see more detail, but we'll definitely be testing some of this stuff on stream in the upcoming days. And again, I'm sorry for releasing this so late at night, but thank you guys for hanging out and watching. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps me out. Come follow me on Twitter so you can see like updates for when I hop on stream and stuff like that. And make sure you send me a friend request in game if you feel like it. You can go to you can either use my trainer ID, which is in a couple of my past videos, or if you go to the win streak leaderboards, I'm number 3. My character's name is Carrie, so you can just add me from there. So that's it for me, guys. You guys have a good night. Damocles out.